I've seen on YouTube so far. Like I'm so engaged. Like the two stories that I watched, I was so fucking engaged. I was like, yo, this is really fucking good. But let's get to it. I like his style too. It's like a little animation style shit. But here you go. So BLarnell, The Worst College Love Life, Part 1.
Take my clothes off, got everything on display. She takes hers off, I'm liking what I see, and then she pulls down her pants and
I'm sorry. I've done this a couple of times too. I'm like, y'all just staring at me right now. Y'all gotta see this. All right.
take my clothes off, got everything on display. She takes hers off, I'm liking what I see, and then she pulls down her pants and I no longer like what I saw.
I don't wanna fall, rather just ball. I feel like a dog, fuck her once and don't call. She won't get a call back, no she want my rags. Little bitch get back, no we ain't cool like that. She wanna eat off my plate.
Yep, that's me. Laying alone in my dorm room on a Saturday night listening to the Canadian cornball himself, Drake. You may be wondering, how did I end up in this sorry state? What could drive me so low that I dip the ice cubes of my feelings into a champagne poppy melody? Whoop, that's a long story, kid. A long story about my terrible college love life. But before we get into it, we gotta go way back. Not that way back, nigga, damn. High school, the place where all the popular people peaked, and for everyone else it was absolutely mid or fuck dog shit. If you enjoyed high school, you're either a bully or a fuck mutant. See, where I went, everybody was concerned with busting a nut and finding love. Me, on the other hand, I just cared about playing games and hanging with my boys. You see, having a girlfriend in my school was like a status symbol. If you had one, dudes envied you and other girls respected you, because if you're desirable to at least one person, you must be desirable in general, I guess. Regardless to say, I was not very romantically inclined. Hell, there was this one time this girl had her friend ask me out before summer break. I figured, sure, why not? A girlfriend would be a nice accessory to flaunt around, only I completely forgot we were dating over summer and kind of ignored her calls and spent most of it just gaming with friends. And when school started back up, needless to say, her friends took umbrage with me and she was a bit distraught, and I ended up getting jumped and my ass beat in the hallway before first period. Girls were not on my mind, but the funny thing is girls kept wanting to get with me, which I ain't no handsome Squidward, but I ain't no Nigel Thornberry head ass. But it also perplexed me because the monopoly on women in my school was ruled by the jocks and the wannabe SoundCloud rappers at the time. So I'm thinking one of the jocks or some of them, somebody got tired of those brawls and just started lobbing their leftovers to the rest of the general populace. But regardless, I kept getting harassed. Now, listen, there's a point to this. I'm not just bringing this up to pump fake or flex, believe me. There's a point I'm trying to make that's definitely going to be relevant later. I had the mindset that I didn't want to be with anybody. I made no efforts to get in a relationship, yet despite this, girls would just harass me. Not random girls, but girls that I knew that were in my friend circles. But regardless, they would randomly kiss me when I'm looking away, shoving their fingers up my butt and in my mouth when walking in the hallway, sniffing me, telling me how good I smell, and just generally being too close in my fucking orbit. Then I had a theory I went on to later name the inverse ovary attraction theory. And this theory states that the more standoffish and disinterested you are in female attention, the more it will be drawn to you. Bullshit, you say, but when I noticed this, I decided to put it to the test. There was a girl in one of my friend groups who was kind of a dick to me, but I ain't even gonna lie, I was low-key feeling her. I'd always do the lame nigga, can I get a hug around her, compliment her a lot, and just generally being all up in her ass. But eventually, I got tired of her mid-ass attitude towards me. I started just saying fuck her. So for about a week, I stopped gassing her up and giving her attention, and then, what do you know, I'm getting them hey text messages. But I keep it going. So one day, I'm in the doorway talking to my friend while he in his chemistry class before I gotta go to wherever the fuck I need to go to at the time, where usually I greet the girl in question first and then chop it up with the homie. I just ignored her. And this other girl joins in our convo to tell us, she saw our YouTube video me and my dude made, and she thought it was funny, showing us some love and shit. And then here she comes, just says nothing, and gives me a hug and says hi. And I was like, oh my god, I was right. I've cracked the code. I understand women. I figured out the mysteries of the mythological woman. Spoiler alerts, I didn't. No, the fuck I didn't. But at the time I thought I did, but I didn't. Unfortunately, women are not a monolith and don't all think the same. And as much as I'd like to extrapolate my
Shut up.
sample size, of women that confirmed my theory and put it to the general populace, that's just not how it works, even though it would be a lot easier if it did. Fast forward, I graduate high school and the standardized test it wrote in on. I'm in college on my own, doing my own thing, still kind of get it adjusted. And after a few months hanging with the boys and staying up all night playing games, it just wasn't doing it for me anymore. My childhood fancies were no longer hitting the same itch. I started to long for companionship. Now, I don't know if it was the brain, the heart, or my USB dongle fueling this desire, but something had your boy going like, I need me a woman. So I brought out old reliable and employed the inverse ovary attraction theory, and that shit did not work. Shit, I was out on the Esplanade in the middle of campus radiating I don't give a fuck energy, and I wasn't getting shit. I went pussy fishing and came up dry. Maybe the universe knew that I genuinely wanted female attention now, and because of that, it threw the whole theory off. Who knows? But this wasn't the halls of high school. This was the campus of college. I wasn't just competing against old Jimmy Schmidt and Tyrone who slangs dick. I was going up against foreign mofos, motherfuckers with good hair from across the globe, D1 athletes, engineers, the whole shebang. Putting in the bare minimum was no longer gonna cut it. I was gonna have to put in effort. Something I've never had to do in terms of relationships because I never wanted one until I did. It wasn't enough anymore to beat my meat into my sheets and go to sleep. I needed some body heat. And it wasn't until one night where I was alone in my dorm and my neighbor was clapping some cheeks. And I heard it through the wall. My man was grunting, all feral, primal like. I hear the bed damn near destroying the wall. It sounded like Armageddon over there. He put it in the most work. So I thought. Because, then I heard the girls say, look, if you're not gonna try, I'ma just leave. Bruh, I took AoE damage from that shit. I felt that nigga's pain from that shit. But then I thought to myself, if that man can get cheeks, I can get cheeks. Which is probably the worst takeaway from that, but fuck it, it was my logic. So, I decided, to get the confidence up and start going on, dates, asking people out. And these get progressively worse in retrospect. This is probably one of the most tame encounters, which I fucked up myself via my own immaturity, I guess. But anyway, I meet this girl in comms class. We get to talking, and she seems sweet. She seems agreeable. I didn't have a car at the time, and I didn't really feel like venturing too far from campus. She was down with this. We agreed to meet at the campus food court. I get there and there's not a lot of people there, but a good amount, and there was just some badass fucking kids just running around tearing shit up, being all loud and obnoxious. I ignored them along with the rest of the crowds and find her and sit down and get to chatting with her, and the conversation's going good. It's going all right. We start shooting this shit, we laugh and she smiles. It's all good times. Then I get distracted by them bad, loud-ass kids, throwing shit out the window and just, thinking, dear God, kids are fucking goofy, and I'm glad I ain't got to deal with them little shits. But then it's like, I see them look over here and make direct eye contact with me, and then they run up to our table, and I think they about to just randomly fuck with us. But then they turn to the girl and say, oh, mommy, is this going to be our new daddy? And she laughs and tells them to go back playing. Well, I wasn't laughing, and I wasn't up for no playing. So I said, fuck all that at the time. So I got up and said, this ain't gonna work, and just dipped the fuck out of there. I could barely take care of myself at the time. I look like being a stepdaddy. That shit was a trap, and I almost got caught in that shit. Nope. Try to hit it up again. I meet this chick at one of the campus anime clubs. She was a little cute 4'9" thing, shortish, but just small and petite. I could fit her in my pocket. Of course, we started bonding over anime, particularly how we both thought Rock Lee was the GOAT and should have been the main character in Naruto, but that's a convo for another video. But we decided to hang out more and start semi-dating. One thing I didn't notice at the beginning that became very much so apparent later on was that she was a fucking talker. I know I blab, good Lord knows I blab, that's the whole point of my channel, but this nigga had the gift of gab that would drive you mad. She was the kind of girl that held the whole conversation herself and cried only a or from you, and she'd always bring up Harry Potter at the most random of times.
Honestly, if you're a talker and that's what you do for most of your day, I love a girl who talks. I'm not gonna lie, I love a girl who talks and she can I can just sit on autopilot for the conversation, and she's fine with that because she doesn't really want to hear what I gotta say. Like, unless it's like something serious, you know what I mean. And I usually know the key words or the buzzwords. So just like, all right, gotta get back on. Like, gotta start flying this ship, flying this plane. Um, but yeah, that's my favorite thing because like honestly, like as much as I do talk, like you know what I mean. Like I've been doing podcasts for years. Even on stream and shit like that. Like when I'm with my person, I just want to be around her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even really want to talk. Talking gets me in trouble with the people that I love because of the type of person that I am. Which is why I like talking on these mediums because I'm like, I don't know y'all personally, so I can't really say anything to you guys in a manner where it's going to offend y'all or affect y'all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if anything, I can maybe give advice from time to time, or I can just share stories about my life, and that's why I like these platforms because I do that on here. Like I can tell stories about my, what was happening in my life and this and that and the third for a purpose. Like, you know what I mean? Like I can tell like certain things. I could just be more. It's more about me sharing, but intentionally and purposefully, right? Now, a lot of the time, am I, like especially with shorties that I've dated, like they start asking me questions, I'm gonna give you answers, and you're not gonna like the answers because I know you. Like I know what you need to hear. I may not be the person who should be telling you, but if you're gonna ask me, I'll tell you. I never volunteer that type of shit though. But if you ask me, and I always preface it, I'm like, listen, if you're gonna ask me to be, and especially if you want me to be honest, you gotta promise me you're not gonna get mad. They always break that promise, but it is what it is.
Like, everything to her wrapped back around to Harry Potter, but I dealt with it, which was fine for me because, women love good listeners. Most women just want a dude to listen to them fucking babble about whatever, really. And I figured I could do that, and maybe, just maybe, it'll go somewhere. So one night, she come on over to watch Howl's Moving Castle, some Studio Ghibli joint. We snuggled up under the covers, we shoulder to shoulder, all cuddled up, and look, nigga, my neurons were activated, alright? Your boy was on hard mode, alright? She came over to Netflix and chill. It's all dim and sleek, and I'm ready to clap some cheeks, So I look over and, give her that look, and she looks at me, and then just mentions how this scene reminds her of a scene from Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, not now. I'm on hard. Fuck Harry Potter and this goblet. I want you to gobble on this Harry Pot. And she keeps going on and fucking on, and I got deflated, bro. I felt the energy leaving me, and I just got weary, and she kept going and going. The fucking movie's not even on at this point anymore. She's still going, and eventually I just fell the fuck asleep. I tried to hold on, but I couldn't. And then I wake up to my roommate fucking tapping me awake, and I look over, and her ass is gone. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? And he tells me he came in around 2 a.m. and saw her in my bed still talking. He ignored it, gave it a minute, but when he started to get ready to go to bed, he asked us, air quotes, if we could be quiet or take it outside, and she took the biggest offense to it, apparently saying we're having a good conversation, just wear your gaming headset, we're not even talking that loud, and a big argument fucking happened, and he kicked her out. I'm getting all this info from his POV, and I'll say, I don't give a fuck. I'm glad that she's out. And it's saying that she was doing all that talking, didn't even realize I was fucking asleep, just babbling. How self-absorbed. And I'm like, that wouldn't have worked anyway. Alright? When my roommate said sorry and blah blah, I just cut him off and said, thank you. And just went back to fucking sleep. Now at this point, I'm trying to think, do I want a deep, fruitful connection with someone, or do I just want to fuck? I'm a late blooming ass nigga who doesn't even know what he wants from his emotions, so I consulted my resident pussy whisperer friend Roch, who gets more ass than anyone I knew at the time. I told her my struggles, and she said I should try it. I say try one. She says just fucking. I should find someone that's DTF. I mean, it's a college campus. I can find someone and just go from there. No connection, no nothing. It's what she does, and admittedly, it's been working for her since we got on campus. She was the stud savant. But it made me kind of nervous because as I recapped in my high school endeavors, I wasn't interested in women. So essentially at this point, I was a flat out virgin. I didn't know anything about fucking. Everything I knew or thought I knew was from vids from X-Hamster. There's no goddamn way my dick was gonna bend the way them dicks was bending in them videos. But I kept this to myself and told her, fuck sure, you know. So she took me on a night of the town. We hit up a frat party, you know. She basically pushed me into the social deep end because she found her some groupies and went off to do her own thing and shooed me off to do mine. So as I'm wandering around, I eventually catch out of this, you know, pretty little blonde girl, and she pulls at me, tells me she likes my outfit. I say the same, and we exchange some meaningless dialogue, you know. But then she eventually asks if I want to make out. I hesitate. I look over at Roch and affirm my decision. I say yes, and we start making out. And it became readily apparent that this motherfucker was down in them hoes, bro, because I inhaled a whole distillery of White Claw sucking face with her. But also, like I said, I didn't date much before this, so I don't know what to do with my tongue while making out. I'm basically jousting with this broad's uvula. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But eventually she pulls off me and grabs me by the arm and leads me to the upstairs of this house. You know, I look back down at Roch and she catches my look, gives me a thumbs up, and I'm going up there, you know. I'm starting to think, you know, this clearly about to lead into some freaky stuff. And I'm wondering, like, do I want my first sexual experience to be with some random half-buzzed white girl on some random frat party on a random Thursday night? Unfortunately, none of these thoughts are being processed by the head that was required for the processing at the time, so I just go with it. You know, so she pulls me into the bathroom, we do a little more making out, she leads me to sit down in the toilet, she starts unzipping my pants, and I'm thinking, holy shit, I'm about to get top. Like, it's about to happen. Oh shit, I don't know what to do. Like, should I give her a little pat slap on the face with it? Like, do I pat her on the head like she's a dog? And, you know, I don't know what the fuck to do. You know, but I figured this is more of a passive, you know, activity. I really just gotta sit here and just, you know, enjoy the show. And as I look back down, and as she's, you know, pulling me out, you know, I look at her and I'm like, are you okay? Because she's looking kind of fucked up. And she says, yeah. And I'm like, you sure? Because again, you're looking kind of fucked up. And she kept insisting she was fine, and she was not fine. The bitch threw up all in my lap all the
No!
And I just sat there. I just sat there and stared as my manhood was covered in regurgitated White Claws and most likely Starbucks mocha lattes. And I'm just thinking, God hates me. I have sinned or pissed this nigga off, and this is divine retribution for something. You know, so I just defeatedly stand up, dick dripping white girl batter, and just walk over the sink and wash myself off. And I think I started crying a bit too, like one tear just dripped from my eye, because
Bro, when he said that, I'm like, I started getting emotional for him. That's so, you're about to get top for your first time, and
I was like, why? Like, I want love, can't find love. I want to fuck, can't fuck. This is madness. And I hear a knock on the door, and Raj bursts in, acting all happy like she was interrupting me and thought she was being a troll. And then she just sees me in my defeated, goopy, dick-stained state and just stares at me. Looks at my dick, back at me, then at the white girl, then back at me, then back at my dick, then back at me, and just is it time to go home? And I'm like, yeah, it's time to go fucking home. Now, you may think that I've just given up, but I did not. After taking a long-ass hot shower and scrubbing thoroughly till the skin fell off, I took the advice of old Rocky and kept on going with the punches. So I basically used Roch as my own DTF dispensary, and I asked if she could put me on with any girls she knew, preferably not studs, you know, so I can continue to try out this whole fuck without emotions thing. And she hooked me up with this one girl who, by her own admission, was a free spirit, and from my mind, that just means she's a hoe, but I'm a hoe too, so we can just hoe it the fuck up, so that's cool with me, you know. So regardless, we skip the BS and get right into talking about doing the deed, you know. And she asked if I eat out, you know, and me capping out my ass said, yeah, you know, I eat out, I've done it before, cap. And she said, you know, after classes, if I want to, I can come over and nibble on some carpet. My words, not hers. And I'm like, sure, why not? And the whole day, I'm just thinking about what I've committed to. I don't know how to eat box. Why did I lie? Why did I cap? I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Whole time I'm feeling like J. Cole.
I ain't never did this before, no.
And I'm thinking eating out is foreplay for what's to come, which I also haven't done. So I'm trying to recall the knowledge I've learned from X-Hamster, X-Videos, Pornhub, Spank Bang, all that to prepare myself. Class is over, night comes, I head over to her dorm room. We start talking about useless shit, and then after a while she gives me that look. So we start kissing and shit. And then I'd like to say she gently guided me down to her nether regions, but no, that nigga had that gorilla grip. I thought she was about to crush my fucking skull. She damn near forced me into that gooch. I was about to eat that shit whether I wanted to or not. So as I'm down there looking at the eye of the beast, I'm thinking, I have no clue what the fuck I'm about to do down here, homie. I employed all the tactics I learned from the greats. I tongue blasted like Yoshi and started tongue flailing like I was SpongeBob getting ready to play the clarinet. I had no clue what I was doing. But then I started to taste liquid. So I was like, okay, I must be doing something right. Like she got some gushy going on. But then I noticed these juices taste rusty. Like copper. Like I was sucking on a fucking penny. So I pull back and I just see blood. It's all down there, all around my mouth. And I'm like, no, the fuck. And she looks down and says, what's wrong? And goes like, oh, yeah. So does this mean you're done? Oh my.
Oh my gosh. As soon as you started saying it, I could smell it myself. Oh, that's a...
Oh my fucking god, bro. Am I done? Am I fucking done? This bitch had me making love to a broken ketchup bottle, and she's like, am I done? As if I'd fucking continue. I've never wanted to shoryuken a woman more than I did in that entire fucking moment. I am not a woman. I do not have a vagine, but I'm pretty sure you motherfuckers run on cycles. You know when it's gonna happen. Probably not precisely, but a general idea. I was bam fucking boozer. I went the fuck off and got the hell out of there, bro. And so I left, rinsed the fuck out of my mouth with.
You know what? You know why I'm even like, okay, there was one time, and luckily I didn't end up like that. But a shorty wanted me to go down, right? And okay, this is a rough story, but just bear with me. But she wanted me to go down, and I'm like, like we had the conversation, like we're gonna go tit for tat, like we were joking around, like we had great chemistry, like we flirted a lot, like we talked nasty to each other, just casually, just jokingly, and we never just did anything about it because I never thought we were being dead ass. I thought we were always joking until she got back to my crib and she wasn't joking, and I'm like, oh, wow. I wasn't planning on this today, but right, like what I mean. It was one of those. Like she hit me out the blue. Like we usually like every time we hung out, it was always with like other people, and we're like that around other people. You know what I mean? But like everybody knew, like especially with me, that's just how I am, bro. Like I return the energy that's given to me. So if you're saying certain shit to me, I'll match your energy. Don't you know what I mean? Like so you don't feel weird, cause I'm game for whatever. Like especially like socially, but. This is the first. I think this is the first or second time we're chilling on the ones, and she's like talking to me like this. I'm just, I'm talking the same way back. Get back to the crib, and now she's like, the looks are a little different. Like she's looking at me different. She's talking to me different. I'm like, all right, okay, I know what this is. I thought we was joking, but all right, we're being serious. So we start making out. We go back to go to my bedroom, and like this is a two-parter of nasty. Because one could have, this could have been a terrible story. It has a happy ending technically for me, not necessarily for her. But I, well, okay, this is a three-parter story because I'm gonna throw somebody else under the bus. I'm going like we're making it on the bed. I start taking some shit down. I smell something. Like, what the fuck is that smell? And when I started going lower. Because I usually, I was going lower, and then I smell. I'm like, the fuck? Am I tripping? Like that was the first time I ever smelled bad coochie. Like I've never smelled it before, so I didn't really know what it was. And I'm just like, maybe the smell will go away. Like I was young, so I started fingering, and I'm like licking the top area, but like I'm so far away I could only touch like the this may be only for adults. but the top area, you know what I mean? Like, I think you know what I'm talking about. That starts with a C. But yeah, so I'm like in that area, but I can still smell it. And I'm like, at this point, it smells so bad. I was like, mm-mm. And I was only okay. So like, I'm saying this, I was only down there for like 3 seconds, and mostly just just doing my thing with this. And then I come up, and she's like, "What's up? Like, what's wrong?" And I'm just like, and I look at my finger. Perfect excuse. I'm like, "Oh, there's like she just she was spotting, so I think her period was just about to start. So instead of me being like, because your pussy smells like you're on your period." Like, wow, what a happy surprise for the both of us. You know what I mean? I was so amped. Like, and then, but the thing is, it kind of smelled like that a little bit too. But there was way more to the smell, like how he was describing it, but just way worse. And that was the end of that. I really wanted her out now because now my room smelled like expired pussy. And like I think we chilled for another 20 minutes after she got her clothes on. And we're chopping it up. I'm making excuses about her going home, but I'm like, yeah, we can link up another time. I didn't see her for like a month, like until the next time. So the next time, my nigga comes to the crib, and he's just like, "Yo, you don't got no shorties for me." So I'm like, maybe. Like I know some hoes, like if you want to, but like if you're looking for like a quality shorty, that's gonna take more than just you coming over, like her coming over here, and then nothing's gonna happen. But I could tell you some girls it will happen with if you bring them over, and again, the girl that every smelly pussy, we'll call her smelly cooch, smelly cooch. I knew she was a hoe. I like my favorite women to banter back and forth with were usually hoes. Cause it's just we can just go as far as we want jokingly and shit like that. Nobody takes no offense or nothing. That's why I thought we was playing. That's why when things went further, I'm like, oh, you really are a hoe. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's been a few times I found out without having to go that far. That was the time I found out with her. I'm like, oh, she actually is a hoe. Like nobody was saying she was, but that's how I found out she was. Cause I'm like, I didn't do no work. And then I told my nigga, I'm like, she's probably like I'm going down the Rolodex, and I think she was like the fourth or fifth option of like girls that I know. Like, you know what I mean? Like I put in a good word in, you probably getting some pussy that night. So nothing was 100%, but everything was around 80. Like I'm giving him 70 to 90 percenters. You know what I mean? And then he lands when he sees her, she's like, oh, she's bad, blah blah blah. Like she's thick. I'm like, are you sure? Like, cause I'm like, maybe like it's been a month. Pussy probably smells a little better. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't want to throw that on him. But I'm just like, he's like, you hit? I'm like, nah, not exactly. No, like I didn't hit. Like, well, but it almost happened. And he's like, what happened? I'm just like, nothing I really want to talk about, to be honest, because I was embarrassed by it. So I didn't think he was gonna hit that night. And it was just like, let me just bring a shorty over here and appease. And he might get some pussy, he might not. I was just hoping it wasn't gonna be her. So I'm a little snake for that. Like I'll say that. But she comes over, and he's just being mad pussy, just incredibly pussy. Like he's not even talking to her. So I did what he asked, and he's barely even talking to her. And in fact, he's on the phone with some other shorty arguing, and they're not the girl he's talking to on the phone. Like that's the girl he wants to date. But they're like, you know what I mean? But like, it was just so stupid, like that night. And I go, I go and I talk to him. I'm just like, yo, fam, like, you good? And he's like, yo, bro. And I know the girl that he was like, on the phone with. And he's just like, dog, like she's moving like this, like that, blah, blah, yada, yada. I'm like, look, you asked, for a shorty to come over, this and that and the third. I got you what you asked for, my nigga. I'm not smashing. Like, I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but like, I gotta figure out what to do with her. Like, should I tell her she can go home or blah blah? And he's just like, nah. It's just like, you think you could just like, talk to her, blah blah blah. Like, what do you mean? Like, how? Like, what do you want me to do? He's like, I don't know, just like put in a good word for me or whatever. I'm like, why don't you do that yourself? He's just like, I'm not in the headspace for it now. I'm just like, oh, that's when I found out about him. I'm like, oh, he's a pussy. So I'm like, whatever. So I go downstairs. And I'm talking to her. And I'm just like, yo, like my bad about my nigga, bro. Like he's, he's from the city. Like he's not used to, the suburban shit, blah blah. So we're chopping it up like that. And she was like, she's coming on to me right now. I'm just like, yo, I'm actually kind of talking to somebody right now. So we're in the beginning stages. I just don't want to mess up no waters, blah blah. I wasn't, but and she's like, oh whatever, blah. And then we're going back and forth. I'm just like, oh, but my nigga was feeling you, like he's just going through some shit right now or whatever. But like, and I'm like working him into the conversation, making her like, she's like, so then why wouldn't he come talk to me? I'm like, you gotta be the aggressive one. You know what I mean? Like when niggas like this, you gotta be the aggressor. He's not used to that, and that will probably help the situation go further. I'm like, you think you like him? She's like, he's cute. Da, da, da. I'm like, then go upstairs. Like, go on at him. We'll talk to him, whatever. You know what I mean? So fast forward, things went well with them. You know what I mean? Things went well. To my knowledge, they smashed. And like this is what I'm thinking in the morning. And then a couple of my niggas, like my homegirl, who's actually friends with her, came over the next morning, and so did my like one of my other niggas from the street, from the same street, not the street, but like he comes over, we start chopping it up, da da da, blah blah blah, and he comes downstairs, and so does the girl. So we go to drop them off, right? The girls, we drop them off. Me and my nigga, we were driving over, like we were going to some next spot or whatever to go eat, and my nigga in the passenger seat, and a nigga who just dealt with smelly coochie is in the back seat, right? My nigga in the passenger seat knows the experience that I had with that girl. He knows what I smelled, all of that shit. My nigga, like my nigga who fuck with smelly coochie, like he's just like, yo, I've never ate pussy before. And then I was just like, I look at my nigga, I'm like, where's this conversation going? He's like, yo, like, that was like the first time I did it. My nigga grabs my arm, like squeezes my arm mad tight, like because he's trying not to laugh, but he's like, I'm just like, my nigga, I'm driving, and I'm like, I'm trying not to laugh too, and now I'm like, what the fuck? And then he's just like, yo, is it supposed to smell like that? Yo, we just start screaming of laughter. I'm like, no, don't tell, no! Like, I'm screaming, no, my nigga's crying of laughter. I'm like, tell me you did it. He's just like, what? He's like, I've never done it before. I thought it was just supposed to be like that. I'm like, how the fuck were you able to eat it? He's just like, yo, I plugged my nose and I just, yo, I was screaming. Like, he was telling us the whole rundown, just a nasty experience. And that I had to apologize to him because I knew it smelled like that. I knew it smelled bad, but I was just like, that's just the one he wanted. So I was just like, look, all right. And it was late, so I'm like, he's very limited in his options, right? So it was like one of those where I'm like, you could probably smash and like get away with it and like not deal with that. But and on top of that, I'm thinking she probably knew it smelled, because I don't know how you don't know your own shit smell. So I'm thinking it's been a month. I'm sure you probably fixed your pH balance, like, you know what I mean, but. Nah. But yeah. Alright. Yeah, that nigga, his first time was smelly coochie. But yeah, I'm just, it's rough. It's rough.
Every goddamn cleaning.
Yeah, there was no moral to that story, by the way. I was trying to find one when I was telling the tail bit. Well, there's no moral to it.
Thing I could find. I told Roch this, and she thought that shit was funny, calling me Count Blackula and shit. I wanted to beat her ass too. As a DTF provider, I give her services and her fucking clientele a 0 out of 5 fucking stars. And you might be thinking now I've given up, but I haven't. My resilience is cockroach made. I'm not giving up yet. Yes, these stupid, gross, disgusting fucking occurrences are happening, but it can't be forever. There has to be an eventual win. If everyone had terrible luck like this, no one would be born. I wouldn't be born. It's clearly possible to have a loving relationship and or a normal fucking sexual experience. It's clearly possible. I just have to keep trying. I should have gave the fuck up. So a week goes by me just giving the fuck up on this madness. I'm just keeping to myself. I'm just chilling. And one day while I'm on the campus, that's when I see this one girl and I say, sure, why not? I spit some game and we hit it off. And it goes from there. We hang out, we chill, we game, and then things start getting a little more personal. You know, we start talking about sexual and goofy stuff. You know, I tell her about all the dumb shit I've encountered in my dating life. I tell her the highlights, and she finds it funny, which in retrospect, you know, I guess it is. At the time, it was fucking not. How I avoided catching something is beyond me, but I wish my luck extended just past that alone. You know, but as we delve deeper into these sexual topics, she asks if I'm a top or bottom. Now listen, at the time, I thought this meant that if you're a top, you're the one who rides on top. And if you're a bottom, you're the one that's on the bottom getting rode on. I was a fucking inexperienced virgin. Don't you judge me. Don't you shame me.
Right.
I was just a fucking baby.
Okay.
So I say a bottom, and she asks if I'd want to do the deed, you know, sometime if I'm up for it. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I like her. You know, it's been going on a few weeks now. Things are great. She seems normal. I haven't heard shit about her period in the time that I've known her. Sure, why not? Couple days go by, we link up. I meet at her dorm while her roommate's out, and of course, you know, we start kissing. No gorilla grip into the box, no kids popping out of anywhere, not a whiff of a Bloody Mary. She seems sober. It's all going right. I take my clothes off, got everything on display. She takes hers off, I'm liking what I see, and then she pulls down her pants, and I no longer like what I saw. A big old log of a dick and some boulder nuts just flop down by a very insultingly large margin, mind you. And she asks if I'm ready, and me still coming to terms with what the fuck is going on, you know, as ready for what. And she says, you know, to receive me to bottom. And that's when it clicked, and I was just like, no, I'm not doing this. I don't give a fuck if it's a misunderstanding. I'm irritated. I'm not about to let you fuck in my ass. My butthole is an exit only. It is a do not enter. I get sore when one of my turds comes out too wide. Ain't no way I'm letting this nigga stick the Empire State up my shit. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. This is a misunderstanding. I didn't know you were trans, and I definitely didn't know you wanted to fuck me in the ass. You know, and then she goes off, starts calling me a bigot, and I'm transphobic, saying I was down to fuck. But now that I see she has a dick, I don't want to anymore. And I'm like,
yeah.
Yes. I thought there was only one dick going into this equation. Now you add yours, and now it's dick squared. I didn't know this was the math problem I was signing up for. And I'm trying to say I'm not transphobic. I'm none of that. I just don't want to get fucked in the ass. I wasn't mentally aware that you were coming into this encounter with the peripherals you're coming into this with. I thought this was a one joystick co-op game. I didn't know you was rolling up with the adapter. Regardless, I'm putting my clothes back on, but this motherfucker is still yelling and calling me transphobic and a bigot. I'm like, I don't fucking care at this point. I just want to leave. But then there's a...
You're not gonna bully me into taking dick. Are you crazy? You're not gonna virtual signal me into taking it in the ass. Like what? Like, why is that even an argument? Yo, man, like, shout out to this nigga for being incredibly mature about that whole fucking scenario. But like, holy fuck, God willing, I'll never go through that situation. Oh my god.
Knock on the door, and it's the fucking campus security who are doing rounds and heard all the noise, and she answers the fucking door with her dick still out, telling them I catfished her, bitch, cap, reverse, and I'm this and that, dick just flanging. I'm trying to leave, and they're like, no sir, stay here. What dorm do I stay in, sir? What's your student ID? What's my number and shit? And ma'am, please put some clothes on. And I'm just fucking trapped and embarrassed. I wanted to jump out that fucking dorm window like I was Crash Bandicoot. I didn't give a fuck if it was the 7th floor. I wanted out. But eventually she gets told to put on her clothes and everything gets resolved, air quotes, and I'm like, you know, allowed to leave, and she calls me a fucking prick on the way out, which was the problem. I didn't want to get fucked by her prick. That was the whole problem. So as I'm walking back to my dorm late as fuck, I'm just defeated. I'm depressed. I think I was crying a bit again, and I just stick my middle finger up and say, fuck you, God. And God probably like, what do you say fuck me for? I ain't got shit to do with this. But anyway, I returned to my dorm, defeated, weak, and I just strip and collapse in my bed. Which brings us back to my sorry state of affairs in the beginning. My fledgling love life was trash, and I had given up on all hope. But then there was a knock on the door. You and I force myself to get up to open it. And when I do, it's one of the security guards that knocked on the door back in Penny the Pie Pricker's dorm, and apparently I left my meal card in her dorm and she was returning it to me. And I say thanks, and I do a double take, and I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking she was kind of cute. Now you may be wondering, did this lead to anything? And the answer is yes. You may also be wondering, was the result good? And the answer is, of course it fucking wasn't. If you know anything, know that as far as college was concerned, matters of the heart and sex were terrible for me. And it all fucking sucked. But that's for a part 2, because for now, I'm done retelling and reliving this shit. And shit, honestly, I think I might need therapy.
Shout out to BLarnell, man. Great fucking storyteller. God bless his heart, bro. Like, that nigga went through it.